Hello and welcome to the Level Up Lounge. I'm John Richardson. I'm joined today by my co-host Dwayne Wilson-Clark, and thank you very much for tuning in. Today we've got a real interesting episode. We are joined by someone within the education field here within the UAE, and it's going to be a really interesting conversation. So thank you for coming with us today, and I hope you enjoy it. So without further ado, let me introduce our first guest. We've got Mr. Michael Bradbury, the Director of Education at the Centre of Entertainment Arts and the region's first Unreal authorised instructor.
That is correct,
And that is a mouthful, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
So, Michael, arrived back in Dubai today, been in the UK, jet lagged?
A little bit, but you know, I'm okay. I'm here for this, so I'm okay. Yeah, thank you.
All right, we're going to try to keep it entertaining for you then in that case. So one of the things I wanted to loop on, obviously you've been back in the UK.
Yes.
And I saw on your LinkedIn that you visited the Man City Esports studio.
I did indeed, yeah.
In the Etihad.
In the Etihad,
which I thought was really freaking cool, because I didn't know that.
It was really cool. It's a broadcast box, so I think it was Setanta or whoever Setanta are now. I can't remember. It changes all the time. But it was their broadcast box, so the players get to be in there playing their games from the Etihad, overlooking the pitch, which I think is amazing. Which, you know, it's amazing. I mean, that's amazing. It's
pretty distracting cool. At 3 o'clock on a Saturday, but
I think it might be used 3 o'clock on a Saturday.
But no, I saw that because obviously Man City and their esports teams, they're known for Fortnite and
FC.
I get confused. I was about to say FIFA, but
can't say
they're not FIFA anymore.
No,
EA Sports. Or,
yes, EA Sports title.
That's what it is. Yeah. So obviously they've done very well recently.
They have done very well recently.
Tex,
yeah, they have.
The big FIFA. I'm going to say FIFA. I don't care. FIFA player.
Yes.
And they won the Premier League last year. I believe.
Yes, it was last year. Yeah, Will was saying it was last year, and it was when Will and his team, from the esports team, went over to America because they did the summer tour, and he knew the appeal that had that demographic, but there were certain people there that were shocked by the amount of people who were coming out to see Text and coming out to interact with him, and it started to get a lot more traction and a lot more interest from everyone at City as well. Yeah,
because I remember they signed him when he was very young, when he signed for the F2, the freestyler guys, and their ultimate team, and I couldn't believe it, like at the age, and he was winning tournaments, and obviously it's worked out for Man City in terms of where they're at now, and much to Dwayne's dismay, Man City are winning the Premier League and the Premier League at the moment.
Thank you very much for that. Should we move on to
we'll move on to the actual topics. Cool.
Thank you very much.
Obviously, just wanted to start with yourself. Obviously, as I mentioned, you're the Director of Education at the moment with the Centre of Entertainment Arts. Now, you went down a career path, which not everyone does. You went to university, you qualified within sort of game design, looking at most people then automatically, I'm going to be a game developer or a game designer, or I want to build games.
Yeah.
You chose education.
I did.
Why?
Well, it's a great question, and I was kind of pondering this, and I thought about it for a while. I think it's kind of twofold. Firstly, doing a degree in game design, I am passionate about, I absolutely love video games. Unhealthily. There's an unhealthy passion for video games. The Sonic special stage from Sonic 1, I was going to turn that to a string vision, have it played as a slow dance at my wedding.
Did you get sign off for that?
Oh no, it didn't happen.
That's
what I want. It's just a beautiful piece of music, and it was a big part of my childhood growing up.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love video games, and doing a qualification in video games made me kind of fall out of love with them, really. I wasn't playing them. And
once you kind of learn the nuts and bolts of a subject.
They're not, and spending, it's like spending all day like building video games and doing stuff and fixing stuff. Then to unwind,
you didn't want to play?
I didn't want to play video games, and I absolutely loved video games, and that really is a big piece of, genuinely is a big piece of it. I play too much at the moment for a 40-year-old man. I play far too many video games, and I guess the other part of that was that the talent pool at the time when I graduated was incredible, and I am the first Unreal authorized instructor, and I was very good at a lot of things, but I wasn't brilliant at one particular thing, and I think that was my own problem. I focused on I want to do everything because I love them, and actually that was. I didn't get the best mentorship, and I didn't focus on one particular area. So I'm very good at a lot of things, but I wouldn't say that I'm brilliant at one particular thing, which is great for education.
Yeah.
Right, which is really, really good for education and being able to deliver education and having a holistic view of everything, from the art side, from programming to level design, system design, music, and like being able to do a plethora of things, but not being able to focus on one kind of did hamper me actually moving forward. And I think it was fortuitous that happened, because what I've done for the last 18 years, I have absolutely loved, and I would not trade it in for a second, because I still get all the cool things. I still get to go to the City Esports. I still get to visit studios. I still get to do all that stuff, and I still get to be part of it. And I still get to enjoy video games.
I was about to say, that's the main thing. You get to still enjoy them, whereas you'd be in the same boat again.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I'm not going to name a few people by name, but I have some friends who are working on a AAA title he did the game design degree with me and doesn't play video games. Because he doesn't play video games. He loves them, but he was like, oh, his Steam library is just full of like 0 hour played games, because he doesn't. That's not how he relaxes anymore. And
I fully empathise. I think I've played maybe 2 games a year in the last kind of few years. I think I've played less and less as time's gone on in the gaming industry.
Yeah, and maybe it's just me. I couldn't do both, but I just wanted to continue that passion and love.
We talk to a lot of guys at the same boat.
Yeah.
We talk to game designers, game developers, and we say, well, what are you playing at the moment? Don't get me wrong. I had a guy that had an Excel spreadsheet of every game that he'd completed, and it was like 380 games. It was a guy who was a developer who was in Thailand. I don't remember his name at the time, but I was sort of saying to him, what are you playing at the moment? He was like, well, I'm trying to do this, and I'm looking to complete it because I've completed X amount of games.
Yeah.
And I'm talking 100% completion, which I very rarely do. But I think the last one was Spider-Man.
Mine was Call of Duty 2.
That's
Modern Warfare. That was the last one I did 100%.
Wow.
Yeah. So he had this Excel spreadsheet, he brought it up on the screen, and it was impressive, like the fact that he was so into it. But then you speak to a lot of them that just, like I say, they spend all their day and potentially all their night when they're in crunch. And the last thing they want to do is then go and play a game.
Yeah.
And especially if it's in a genre that they're building on a day-to-day basis.
And especially if it's in their... a lot of my friends post-COVID haven't returned to the office yet. So especially if they're sat there for 8 hours and then to unwind, they stay sat there and just switch applications. Like, get out of that room and get out of that mentality as well, yeah.
Yeah, no. So obviously you arrived in Dubai in 2018, or was it earlier than that?
What year is it? About, let's say, 2018.
Yeah. I'm hoping my research is certainly right. So you joined GEMS.
I did, yes.
Which, for anyone sort of watching this or listening to this, are the biggest education group within this part of the region.
I think globally, aren't they?
They're not far off. They're huge.
Yeah, they're huge.
So they're massive. And you fast became their sort of head of game design, esports, and computer science.
Yeah.
Now, the bit I want to know about that is how well was that adopted by... Firstly, obviously the school introduced it, but how was it adopted by the parents and the pupils? I'd imagine the pupils were quite pro.
Yeah.
How did the parents take to that type of curriculum?
Probably the same way that it was taken to maybe 30 years ago in the UK, I guess, 35 years ago in the UK. And I think that here, from an education perspective, it's very traditional kind of education roots, business, economics, and nothing wrong with that at all. They're fantastic career paths. But I think that's ingrained in kind of the culture in this region as well, that like video games are just games. And a lot of the stuff I had to do at GEMS and some of the stuff I've done at DCT recently was trying to change that paradigm, trying to show them that, okay, yes, it is video games, but actually look at the scope of work you can do. And a lot of the stuff I've talked about with the Unreal Engine, when I've been doing kind of fireside chats, for example, or online talks with Emiratis, is look at the different roles you can get if you understand if you work in the Unreal Engine. And virtual production is a huge one, broadcast, live TV, film, TV, animation. Actually, Epic now don't kind of see the engine as just a game engine. It's not anymore. It's a multimedia piece of development tool. It's huge.
Architecture nowadays. And
AEC architecture, and Twin Motion as well. I forgot about that other stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff. I've forgotten what it can do, and there is such a broad range of roles available, well-paid roles as well. However, it wasn't well seen, especially esports. We'll get to that in a second. But the game design was just, oh, you're just playing games. Oh, this isn't real. And for a while, it will take a while for that to change as well, I think. And once companies are hiring the youth and paying them well, that's when that will change, I think. But right now, it's still that kind of frontier area where it's still deemed as fun and not a career choice. So how well was it received? By the parents who listened, and really well received, and they kind of saw it. But for people who were just they didn't want to know because it's a completely different paradigm to them. It's a completely different mindset, a completely different area they don't understand.
Yeah, well, you look at it in comparison to your medical or law
Absolutely.
and those types of career paths. It's almost deemed childish in a way, and that's
Absolutely.
not well taken. So, because obviously 6 years on now, and from my understanding, GEMS are about to roll out their first sort of esports academy, which is starting in a couple of weeks, from September.
Yeah.
So that's 6 years in the making to get to that sort of point. So it's interesting to see how that's evolved. And were you a part of that, or is that something that's gone?
No, I wasn't a part of that. That's something that's happened post me. But there's a great gentleman called Baz Najjar, I'm sure you know. He was part of that, and he's been part of the development of that. And it's really interesting. I've read a lot about it, and I think it looks really, really interesting. I think the Esports Academy is a great thing to do, which was very different to the esports that I was delivering. So when I was at GEMS, it was the Pearson qualification, which is international schools doing it in America.
Okay.
The school I was at, GEMS First Point, we were the first school in the UAE to roll it out. I think there have been others since, but again, the first people to do that kind of, again, great. And you know what? Confidence and bravery from the leadership to roll that out as well at that school. But the esports qualification is more about how to run tournaments and how to do production and how to do editing and how to train the players and how to run it behind the scenes. And I think the Esports Academy that GEM's running is more about the player focused, isn't it? Rather than it could be both, but I think it's more focused on player development rather than the practical side behind it as well.
How have you seen the esports industry in this region grow so far?
It has grown, and again, there's so much excitement and there's so much hype, and that is turning into tangible companies like NASA, Yalla, and some of us I've forgotten because I'm a bit jet lagged. Yeah. But then you have Blast over at the Etihad Arena. That's a huge event coming over here as well, and it's evolved. It's evolved massively, but I think it stopped a couple of years ago. I don't think it's evolved a bit more. I think it's still hype and excitement, and with some tangible wins. And I think there's a lot of excitement ready to pounce on that and to turn into more teams, to more players. But I think it's just I think it's evolving. It's not peaked yet. I don't think it's definitely not peaked yet. It's continuing to evolve and continuing to grow.
Well, I think what Saudi with
esports
competitions, World Championships,
isn't it? Just finished.
It is just finished, but there's still more going on. They're building, is it Qadira? They're building the first esports city, which is going to be dedicated. There's going to be stadiums, hotels, like almost a players' village.
Yeah.
It's almost like an Olympics competition, but for esports, which is pretty insane. You wouldn't have thought of that 5, 10, 15 years ago that would even be a thing.
No.
And that just shows that Saudi are forward thinking in that piece of let's do it first, and let's do it big.
Yeah.
And fair play to them. They've made it that the World Cup was very well received in what they did, the viewerships, etc. The prize funds were incredible.
Incredible.
I think that then it's a case of Dubai and the more local region where we're based now looking at that going, we need to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And I know that we mentioned Klaus off air before we started, but Klaus and what he's doing down in Abu Dhabi and with Compass, I think it is, and there is a big demand of esports. And we spoke with Mario on the last episode, which we were talking about what does the region want to be when we talk gaming. Do they want to be esports? Do they want to be console? Do they want to be mobile? So it is interesting as to where the region will pivot and drive, because when we're talking esports and game design, they're very different.
They are very different. It's it is a little bit frustrating that they're always lumped into that same conversation because they are completely different disciplines. Esports is essentially a sport, right?
Yeah.
It is essentially a sport, despite all the people that will argue that against with me when I've had to try and explain what it is. It's a sport, and game design is a vocation, a practical, creative vocation.
Yeah.
They just happen to exist in the same I don't know, ecosystem, perhaps, or ecosystem. I don't even know if it's ecosystem. It's like our Puma make Manchester City's kit. So are they involved in football or are they involved in fashion? And it's almost that paradigm. Just because they're involved in the product doesn't mean that they're the same thing, perhaps. Yeah, that's a bad analogy, but it's what I'm sticking to.
I know what you mean.
That's what I'm sticking to.
Hopefully everyone else does.
You've worked at the Centre for, we've been involved with the Centre for Entertainment and Arts.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about your kind of journey then? What are the relationships like there?
Yeah, so I started as a Director of Education 13 months ago with the Centre for Entertainment Arts. Yeah. The Centre for Entertainment Arts are a Canadian company that are expanding their reach. So by the end of, let's say, next academic year, there'll be 11 Centre of Entertainment Arts places globally. With Canada, Saudi, hopefully one in Cairo, Rajasthan, and there'll be places everywhere. And the Centre of Entertainment Arts essentially work with industry. We work with industry, and I work with industry people to look over our curriculum and make sure that what we're doing is getting people as industry ready as possible in films, TV, game design, the entertainment arts really. And we're building curriculum that makes you as ready as possible to get a job. And when I was back in the UK, I was meeting with game studios and talking about our curriculum. And we did a lot of stuff with systems design, with AAA Developer, where they helped. And they basically looked at our curriculum and said, I'd probably lose these 6 lectures and replace them with this, because that's what we need. Yeah. And it's about making the people as ready as possible. So you don't have to do 4 or 6 months of mentorship once you've graduated, because the stuff they're learning, we're almost like a factory. What we're trying to be is getting people as ready and as employable as possible, as quickly as possible as well.
Is this in region or overseas that we talking about?
Everywhere we have a campus, that's what I'm trying to do, and we're training people up to the same standard everywhere to get people into industry. So in Canada, it's a little bit easier because the industry is a bit bigger in Canada than it is here, but that's our kind of goal.
Well, it's good that people can go through that program and come out and be ready the same way as if they went through it in Canada or went through it in any other country, because that's the concern with the education piece. If you qualify here, are you as qualified as someone that's been qualified in Europe or North America or wherever it might be? So if it is that same level, same recognised qualification that you're coming out with, it's hugely beneficial for the individuals within this region that are taking that.
It is, yeah.
So, and there was one bit I mentioned, because I was looking online and reading up about it, and I understand that they've got partnerships with both Unreal and Unity. So I'm guessing part of the Academica will be ability to learn in both fields, which I think is important, because the region is very mobile heavy right now, which is obviously very Unity based, but Unreal is where a lot of people want to be building. I think people want to go into consoles, PCs, and like you say, we mentioned Unreal being used in so many other different industries where Unity maybe not so much. And you've also got a collaboration piece with the Dubai Programme of Gaming, I understand, as well. So how does that look and how does that work?
So that's we essentially just working as helping train. They have their KPIs and they want to train as many people as possible and as well as possible. Obviously, the DPG, if it's 30,000 people in the next 10 years, and we want people trained as well, because the more creative people you have, the better it will be for the ecosystem. More people allowed to be creative, more people allowed to just sit and do something and write a game or build something. The more people doing that, the better for the industry. So what we're doing is I'm giving the training with DPG at no charge as well. So we're doing it so people can just come, get trained up, and then look, okay, what's next? So it's just about, again, breaking down that paradigm, showing people, look what you can do with it, look what you can create, and just doing that as much as possible. So people download the engine for free, play around with it, build stuff. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to get as many people trained as possible, as quickly as possible, to be creators, to use it for something.
How do you see the current state of play in the gaming industry, especially in region? Like, how do you view it?
I think it's really exciting here because there's so many. We spoke off there about the different people who go, and there's so many different individual pockets of people all doing really exciting stuff, all really, really passionate, all with so much hype that it can't not turn into tangible stuff. And there's so much happening, it can't not turn into something to indie studios developing great titles. I think here, again, this is just my opinion. Not the CEOs, it's just my opinion, is I think they should focus on developing games with from this region, with this culture, with this. There's a rich tapestry of stories and stuff and style and that can be produced from this region. Focus on that. Focus on building that. Focus on telling the story of this region through that narrative, through those games, whether they be mobile or console. But really, and then that would be completely unique. No one else could do that. No other, they couldn't recreate that narrative, that culture and that tapestry from here.
Well, you see in the movie industry now, I think Abu Dhabi have partnerships where you've got your Mission Impossibles and the films like that.
Dune as well.
Exactly, showcasing the region.
Yeah.
How do you then showcase Dubai as a city or an emirate in video games? How do you bring that in? So even if you're seeing the city, like we've got Grand Theft Auto where you go around and do you know what I mean? And you're driving around. But even if you had a Dubai type city within a game where you'd recognise the Burj Khalifa or the Burj Al Arab, and it would just bring that appeal to people that probably have never even thought about it, seen it, looked at it, especially the younger generation. A lot older generation will start, I say older, probably us guys, would know Dubai when you look around, but then the younger people just picking up games and playing, probably oblivious to what Dubai is or where it is or what it is, and it's Middle East and it's desert and wasteland or whatever it might be. Well, no, it's actually this big city that skyscrapers are bigger than anything that you've got or anything that the neighbouring country or city have got. It would be a great way to help showcase Dubai through the means of video games, which then will in turn make people want to build more games from this region. Yeah. So, I'd like to see it.
I'd like to see it as well, and I think that people just need to be. I think that going back, and this might come up in a question later on, but to kind of expedite that, and I think there has to be a paradigm shift and that creativity and just allowing people to be creative. What Manchester has, I'm from Manchester, and what Manchester has and Brighton and other places like that in the UK and in America, Calgary, for example, there's that kind of free creative spirit where there is that kind of culture, the Northern Quarter in Manchester, Soho in London. It's that kind of free, creative.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
it makes me think of Bristol. Like, I don't know Bristol, why. There's just something about there's their own identity or vibe going on.
Yeah, and it's that vibe and it's that undertone of it's cool to create. It's cool to, like, Manchester and Liverpool and Bristol, like the music, the hit. That should be hopefully that approach, a slow, and I think Dubai are doing it with a 2033, so it's 10 years, right? A slow, deliberate approach to creativity is the best way, rather than saying we're going to do this right now. I think doing it slowly changing paradigms, slowly becoming that creative area. Like they've got the creative centre just near, I can't remember, near the Dubai Mall, I think it is, isn't it? That creative district.
Yes.
But having that like organic rather than it being kind of manufactured almost.
Definitely.
You've worked with the Department of Culture and Tourism, and obviously like the Dubai Future Foundation. What's happening there? What's the relationship there as well?
So with Dubai Culture and Tourism, at the games event, what was it called? The Games Expo.
Game Expo.
What was the Game Expo called?
A big long name.
The Game Expo, I worked with DCT and DPG there, did some kind of just some really quick Unreal Fortnite stuff with anyone who kind of just walked in to train them, get people to download it. I think we did something like 60 people did some really quick Fortnite training over that weekend, which was great. And again, showing the parents, allow your kids to download this now, start young, get them being creative, like get them doing something, building something, being proud of it, putting it online, sharing it with their friends. And that was a kind of drive that we were doing there. And with DCT, I took part in there's a winter program, the Maydown winter program, which was again online. I did 3 sessions, which was breaking down the industry for locals for Emiratis, breaking down the industry. And I think on those sessions I had 150 people over the 3 sessions who I explained what the industry was and changing those paradigms. It's not just video games, and the value of the industry and what you can do, what the next steps are, and everything that it is. And I recently did that again, and I think again there was maybe 210 people, different Emiratis at the same area. So I'm just trying to slowly change paradigms and slowly share with people who are interested as well. And that's brilliant that there is at least, let's say, 450 people who want to know more about this, who are interested in this, and are like, oh, what's this about? And listen to me speak for 90 minutes about the industry, about what it means for Dubai, what it means for your children, what it means as a job prospect, what it means for travel, what it means for everything. And I think that's what I've been doing with them. It's a little bit of training with DPG and a lot of kind of introductionary kind of explanation, really. I can't think of a better word for it than just explaining what the industry is to people who really want to know.
Yeah. Okay. And I think when we talk about Game Expo, I think what they do well is what they have next door, which is for the children ultimately.
Yeah.
Hordes of them coming on school buses.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's everything for them to play, interact with, see. Surely putting on those sorts of showcases for children are gonna, if they then can see that and then be informed that this is actually something that you can do as a career, whether you be a player, a designer, a developer, an artist, partnering that with educational workshops on this can be a career for you. Why would that not then drum up so much interest?
Absolutely.
And drive those children that run around like headless chickens trying to get to everything and screaming. They'd obviously got an interest and a passion in it. Why not then take that from an early age and take it through their whole school life through to university, etc., and come out the other end and be able to do that on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to move on to, obviously we're going to get to the fun bit in a little while, but I wanted to ask a couple of things in terms of, first of all, the region, where it's at right now, the state of play right now. We spoke about where sort of you see it. What do you think it really needs to do to kick on? What do you think it needs to happen to get to the next level?
That's a great question, isn't it? Because there's so much hype. We see it all the time. There's so much hype. AD gaming over in Abu Dhabi, DPG here. Like it's now like governmental interest, right? So the announcement about the 30,000 jobs by 2033. What needs to happen? I don't think it's going to be, I don't know if lightning in the bottle, it's not going to be something that happens overnight.
Yeah.
I genuinely think it's a slow, considered approach. And I think things like, I would say this, I'm the director of education, but I think education is really important. And I think it will happen over time. And I think the GEMS announcement they're taking it seriously. So more parents will kind of, well, what's this about? And then it'll be a slow process, and it'll be a really deliberate process. I don't think that something's going to spark, and I think it'll be slow. And in 10 years, there'll be an ecosystem here because it would start in exactly like you just said, has to start in the schools, like it has done in Europe, like it has done in America, like it has done in Canada, where they have that experience in it, they get it younger, and then over time, those individuals will create their own studios or create their own. It'll start to grow slowly. Jobs will increase, interest will increase, money will increase, global interest will increase, like into what's happening in this region, because it's huge at the moment. Like the money that's been invested, and I think that's what needs to happen. I think I think what needs to happen is we just have to kind of slow down. Yeah, just allow it. Yeah. All that hype is happening now. It's all ready to go. We just have to. Just keep it in that right direction.
Consolidate and just keep pushing it forward.
Just keep pushing it gradually. We don't,
needs to be organic.
It really has to be organic. The ecosystem has to organically evolve, and everything all the groundwork and the foundations has been done now. We just have to, like you say, just let it happen.
Nurture it a little bit.
Nurture it is a great word that was avoiding me. But that's exactly what I think we'd have to do. Just educate slowly, point in the right direction when it's going off track, perhaps keep the interest, show the world what's happening here, and I think that's the way to do it.
Okay,
it's a good answer.
And this will be a good one for you, because listening to this, people will obviously know your background. somebody wants to get in the industry. Someone who's finished school, maybe done something that's not relevant, but thinks, I want to be a part of this. Is there a way they can go about it?
Yeah, there's loads of different ways. Well, first of all, pick a lane. Like I didn't.
Yeah.
And that, right. So pick what you really passionate about. Is it storytelling? Is it animation? Is it level design? Is it system design? Is it programming? Again, is it music? There are so many different avenues into it, and then refine your craft. Like you will have. There are more tutorials online than you can ever watch. There is more literature about game design, sound design than you can ever read. There's so much out there for anyone who's willing to put the hours in and to learn, and that's what it is. If you want to get into the industry, if you want to get a foot into the door, and I had this discussion with AAA studios in the UK, portfolio. Your portfolio has to be better than 150 other people, as you both know, right? How good is that portfolio? Improve your portfolio, work on your portfolio, find a mentor. If you want to do a course, do a course. If you want to do a game design course, but do something that is going to lead you to having the best portfolio you can have, that best showcases your talent to get you in that door. And this first job will be QA, potentially, right?
Yeah.
And then from that, once you're in the door, that's it. And that's what I try to tell people. Once you're in, that's that first hurdle. That's a doozy. But once you're in, it's easier to move around. So I would say portfolio and just be ready to put in the hours. Just that
elbow grease. Old school, but it's got to be done.
Yeah, and unfortunately, not to sound grim about it, but it's really hard.
Yeah.
Because there is some unbelievable talent and unbelievable skill. Put the work in, put the effort in, and just be really passionate about it and just really care. That's the best way of doing it.
Perfect. Well, there you go. There you have it.
Yeah, it's really easy.
Yeah, really easy. Just work really hard. But it is a tough industry.
Yes,
it's very hard to break into.
Yes.
And I speak to a lot of people when we're talking to people in other countries that have gone and got their masters or got their bachelors and are struggling to get that first break. Maybe they want to go in as a programmer and, like you mentioned, maybe having to go in as a QA, do some initial testing, just to find your feet before you get that opportunity may be the best way in. But it is a tough industry. But I think it's one that once you're in, you can normally stay put and you'll enjoy it for the rest of your life, because
absolutely
it is, for a lot of people, passion and work combined.
Yes, exactly.
And not many people in the world have that.
No, and being really passionate and loving games as well. You're gonna have to play a lot of games. You're gonna play a lot of games. Be really, really passionate. Be as creative as possible. And that's what you will find inspiration everywhere. Music, films, TV. Just be a sponge to everything, and just try and take as much as you can on.
Good advice there. Very good advice.
Can't argue that.
So then moving on then, let's go down to just find out a little bit more about you.
Okay.
You mentioned your age earlier, which is kind of very similar to mine.
Yeah.
First console you owned?
The first console I owned was... I was thinking about this. Are we classing Amstrad as a console?
I was a Commodore 64.
Right, so the first console I owned was an Amstrad PCP 464, which was green screen, and it was dreadful. It was dreadful.
They were back in the day, to be fair.
Yeah, it wasn't even good back in the day.
Yeah. But then, all right, so then moving past the green screen and that. Yeah. You mentioned Sonic having a big impact on you growing up, so I'm guessing you went into Sega.
Oh yeah, I all the way. I was going to wear a Dreamcast hoodie today, but I thought that was too cliche.
Did you own a Dreamcast?
I've owned
very niche console.
I owned a Dreamcast.
Not a niche console. It was a great console.
I feel like it was just there for a moment in time and then just disappeared. It was maybe a year or two.
So one of my favourite games of all time was on Dreamcast, and that was Shenmue.
Oh, what a game!
3 discs.
I don't remember that. 3 discs.
3 discs.
The box was about that deep.
Yeah, it was great,
and it was unbelievable. I used to rush home from school to play that.
Unbelievable game. Unbelievable. The Dreamcast, the VMUs, internet connectivity out of the box, GD-ROMs. Oh, what a machine! It was essentially HD. If you could, it was before its time. It was before its time. No, I was a massive Sega fanboy. Still am. So after that, I kind of Master System, Mega Drive, Game Boy. I owned a Nomad, right, which was a portable Mega Drive. Right, which I bought when I was at university. and they didn't own a Sega CD because I don't think anyone did. And then Saturn, Dreamcast, and then sadness.
Game Gear.
Game Gear. Did I not say Game Gear?
Did you not? I'm not sure if I heard it, but yeah, Game Gear.
Game Gear. I loved the Game Gear, but it wasn't portable because it was colour screen and it lasted like an hour.
Yeah. That was my Mortal Kombat console. That was Mortal Kombat on the Game Gear.
What was the first game that you fell in love with?
Oh, so again, the first game I fell in love with, or the first game I remember falling in love with. It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've had this discussion with friends. And it doesn't change all the time, but then I could probably break it down to consoles, which I won't do because we don't have the time. But is it rose-tinted glasses? Like the first game I fell in love with was probably Streets of Rage 2.
Great game,
right?
That was the one with Skate on it, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's the one with Skate.
It's been going up and down.
Yeah.
Like it's so quick. Like now, you just look at it and be like, "That's terrible." But at the time, it was like there was nothing cooler than it.
Nothing cooler than that because like it was
trash cans thrown around.
It was such a graphical upgrade from Streets of Rage 1 that I was like, it blew my mind. I was like, "Wow, this is incredible!" The music was amazing. It's like the music stuck with. It was a great game. You know, absolutely. I mean, I must have completed that over. I don't know how many times, but recently as well, like you replay it recently. And then there's a game on the Saturn called Guardian Heroes, which was one of the best games ever. There's a game on the Mega Drive called Gunstar Heroes, which was made by Treasure, who went on to Rocket Knight Adventures. That was brilliant. And then Castlevania on the NES.
Yeah.
I love Castlevania on the NES as well. But the first game, it would have to probably be Streets of Rage 2, though.
Yeah.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah. I was probably Sonic. Like I grew up, I loved Sonic, like Sonic Teddy and everything.
Sonic
all of them, like the first few.
Yeah.
But when they started getting on a little bit different, I kind of. But the first one, Dr. Robotnik, everything like that. Like,
great villain.
The only reason I didn't say Sonic, in hindsight, was because I thought that was a given. Like,
but when you asked that question, I'm thinking he's already told us it's Sonic.
Like obviously Sonic. Anything by Miyamoto as well. Like anything by everything that he's done has ever just been perfect. Anything that the composer Kondo did as well is brilliant.
I loved Mortal Kombat on the Sega.
It
was like there was no real kind of storyline that was like in your face at that point. It was just like these characters, and then
you were definitely playing that underage.
Yeah, 100%.
I remember
going to see the film and ask my mum like, "Can I watch it?"
I remember getting the original GTA. On PC.
Yeah.
Like, and it came in a box that was about that big for some reason. I've got no idea, but I got it on PC, and I had to ask my mum to like get it for me because I don't even know what year it was, but I definitely was nowhere near the age.
I would say like 95.
So, but I got it, and it blew my mind. But again, that's just a game that I had way before I probably should have.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I haven't turned out too wrong because of it, but it was one of those ones. So, moving on to that, then that's your first game you fell in love with.
Yeah, probably.
What would you say your most favourite game of the last decade has been? And I always find this is a real tough one.
It's a real tough question. So, does the remasters count?
What's the remaster that you're
Well, it's a
about?
BioShock collection.
Yeah.
Right. So the BioShock, like the games were fantastic, and I completed Infinite and the DLCs. And once if you haven't, you have to complete those. You have to.
I hope the camera panned in on your face there.
They're unbelievable. And so that was really, really good. Oxenfree, which is a really good game about Oxenfree is about radio, aliens, and friendship.
Okay.
Really, really lovely, lovely game. Really lovely game. Firewatch is a great game. So over the last decade, it's a tough question. Mario Odyssey, obviously.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful experience. I played that with my daughter, so that was nice.
Yeah.
I'd probably say those. I'm probably missing something really obvious though, which I will probably have to comment on under this video at some point.
Yeah, you'll get home and then you'll look at your games and go, I missed that.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously that one.
Yeah.
What about the last game you purchased?
So, the last game I purchased physically that I went out to buy.
Or bought online.
No, I'm going to do both.
I want to hear the story
No, there's no story. It's just, so the last game I purchased physically was Cyberpunk.
Okay.
And that might be the last game I ever have to purchase because, like, as a actual disc.
Yeah.
I can't remember buying a game physically in a store now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And so that was the last game I purchased physically. And then, really weirdly, the last actual purchase was Borderlands 3. because my friend wanted to play it, and I realised I didn't own it anymore on a new console, so I purchased Borderlands 3. Borderlands are great games.
Have you seen the film yet? Dare I ask?
What film?
Borderlands.
There's a Borderlands film.
It's got about 4% on
I know,
Rotten Tomatoes.
I know. I'm just pretending it doesn't.
Fair enough. It's that bad, is it?
But you know, Borderlands isn't a game someone would play and go, do you know what? This would make a great movie. Like it doesn't like that. I don't know how. You know.
I'm gonna go and get Black Myth Wukong this weekend.
The reviews are incredible.
I want to see it, and I want to give some time to that. It's going to take me away from Ghost of Tsushima, which I'm nowhere near finishing yet.
Yeah.
But that's what happens nowadays, isn't it? You don't finish a game and you buy another one.
Do you know what? You spoke earlier about that the gentleman that you had completed 380 games. Sorry.
Games,
and I used to have a pretty decent record of that. Not that, but I used to say if I bought this, I'm going to complete it. It's 60 quid, 70 quid. I'm going to get my value out of this. You wouldn't stop watching a movie halfway through, would you?
Oh my god!
Borderlands, you might.
But Game Pass ruined that for me, because now I'll download something. I'm like, oh, this is only okay, and I just so many games.
I think I've got like 6 games at the moment that I just haven't completed.
Yeah,
and it's just you just said that perfectly. Like I wouldn't do that with a film. I wouldn't get halfway through and just be like, you know what, I'm done. Or just get up in the cinema and leave.
Yeah, but a film uses 2.5 hours, 3 hours on most films nowadays.
Yeah.
Some of these games, 40, 50 hours of completion.
Yeah,
this is true.
Yeah,
it is a long commitment
Yeah.
piece, and obviously when we have work and you only get a certain amount, you've obviously got children as well. It's tough to find the time to commit to spending so many hours.
There's so much competing for our time as well out there now. Like obviously with the 100 different streaming services, like there's so much media to be consumed, right? That video games they're a massive time sink, right? They're massively enjoyable, but yeah, they're a huge time sink for that, unfortunately.
So what are you currently playing right now? If you open up what's your current console?
Current console, like nobody else, is an Xbox Series X.
Okay, open up your Xbox.
No judgment.
And a Switch, of course.
What you open up? What's most recently being played?
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty.
Only because I'm playing with my friends online, right?
Okay.
That is more of a social experience than a because obviously my friends are all back in, not obviously, a lot of my friends are back in the UK.
Yeah.
So and it's kind of a hangover from COVID.
From COVID, yeah.
That's exactly what it is. It's and because I'm just back, so I didn't play all summer because I actually saw them physically, and they're like, "When are you going back to Dubai?"
Yeah.
Because we can, just and so it's that. But if it's not that, the most recent game I played that's not as a social thing was I'm replaying Broforce.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever played Broforce.
I've not played it. I'm not familiar with it.
So Broforce, you watch a trailer for it. It's essentially a 2D pixel. Lovely kind of game where you just destroy everything, shoot everything, but you play as different kind of 80s heroes like Schwarzenegger, Ellen Ripley from Alien, like you MacGyver. Like
I'm in.
It's a very fun, it's a very humorous, easy game to play, and just to unwind, where you don't have to think about anything. That's really, really nice as well. And then Cyberpunk, because it got recently just some new fancy stuff. Some new fancy stuff. So I'm playing through that again.
Okay,
cool.
What about upcoming titles? There's like, I think looking at next year, there's like loads of great titles, and obviously Gamescom have just recently dropped some incredible trailers. But have you got anything on your wish list?
So I haven't seen anything from Gamescom at the minute. So I apologise about that.
No worries.
Wish list, and again, bit cliche, but I really have a soft spot for Gears of War, right?
Yeah.
And that's getting this. So I'll play through that again, or the kind of reversion of that. That could be great. Could be. I played all the Gears of Wars prior to that, but again, that was a thing of playing with my friends at university and kind of having that hang on. There's a game called Mixtape, I think is coming out. I think it's called Mixtape. I can't remember the name of it. I was thinking earlier on. It's a kind of game about friends and music. It looks really, really good. Saw a trailer for that. Marathon.
Marathon. Yes.
Yeah, Marathon.
Yes.
The Extraction. Bungie.
Yes,
yeah. And
yes.
it's Marathon. They originally made Marathon back on the Apple. So I'm excited to see what they do with that. And the trailer had some good music in it. You can't really judge a trailer.
Has that got a release date yet?
To be honest, I don't know. The last time... No, I don't know, to be honest. And again, there's no actual gameplay yet. No gameplay trailer footage, so...
I feel like you've got a thing for music in games.
I love music in general. Yeah, music is brilliant, right? And it's not just games. Games are an incredible piece of art, right? The music, the atmosphere that they create. Oxenfree is great for that. Thomas Was Alone, which is a brilliant game, which is, I mean, the music in that is fantastic. But Thomas Was Alone was just a game about sprites, just coloured different blocks. And the personification, the story is incredible. Like, it's a great game. But yeah, it's not just the music in games. It's you'd say the same thing about films, I guess, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's an emotive it's an emotive experience. Like The Last of Us.
Why do you get Hans Zimmer to come and do the film? It's because
exactly.
he does it every single time that it sounds amazing.
Absolutely.
And draws you in. So
absolutely. Like the music in Mario Galaxy, the orchestra for Mario Galaxy. I was listening to that just today, in fact, because it's a beautiful piece of music. It really is fantastic. And it triggers memories of happiness and playing through the game. And yeah, video games are an emotive experience. They're an incredible piece of art. And, you know, and the world knows this because of how much they're worth.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, we've come to the end of the show.
Oh,
I know, sad, eh? I know, right? Can we have an extra hour? No, I really enjoyed the conversation today.
Thank you. I really
and I hope that the viewers did as well. I think the education piece is huge out here, and I think it needs to be taken seriously. And I think it's great for someone like yourself to be spearheading that and be at the forefront and making that happen. So that's really going to help the region.
Thank you.
Get to where it needs to go. And I'm going to talk to the camera now, but thank you very much for joining us today, and I hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.